Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Doug and I'm back with another fountain pen review. As I continue to grow out my beard again for my Movember fundraiser in support of men's health, please visit my Movember page and give generously. You can find the link in the description below. I will be donating all of my YouTube membership revenue for the month of November to the cause. Thank you. And on to today's fountain pen review. Today's review is of yet another fountain pen on loan from pen friend Murray McKay. If you remember last week, I did a review of Murray's exquisite Nakaya Decapod Urushi fountain pen. The pen today is certainly more affordable for the average pen fan. This is the Opus 88 Koloro. I've been a big fan of Opus 88 since my purchase of my Opus 88 Bella last year. Opus 88 is a pen manufacturer out of Taiwan, and they make very affordable acrylic Japanese eyedropper fountain pens. A Japanese eyedropper is a style of fountain pen not necessarily made in Japan. The Koloro is a Taiwanese Japanese eyedropper. The Mahjong C4 is a Chinese Japanese eyedropper.
I'm confused.
I don't want to get into the difference between Taiwanese and Chinese, as that's more of a legal matter. So let's compare this Taiwanese Japanese eyedropper with this Chinese Japanese eyedropper with no legalese right now. And what I'd like to do today is go over the parts and features of this pen, show some size comparisons, some measurements, and then provide a writing sample. After the writing sample, please stay tuned as I will talk about what I like and what I don't like so much about this fountain pen. And since this pen is on loan from Murray McKay, I don't have his original box, but I do have the box for my Opus 88 Bella, and they're very similar. The pen comes in this large box with the outer sleeve. The Koloro sleeve might not be red, it might be black. There's the foil stamped Opus 88 logo, Opus 88, and fine writing instruments. Take the sleeve off, and we have a textured cardboard box with Opus 88, fine writing instruments, and since 1977 embossed in white on the top. Now, if the Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese stuff didn't confuse you, this will. The company is called Opus 88 after the year of their founding, but then it says 1977. But Taiwan uses a calendar called Mingguo, which counts the years since 1911. So to calculate a given year, you take the year, like 2022, and subtract 1911. So this year is the year 111 in Taiwan. So 1977 would be 66, and 1988 would be 77. So the year 88 would be 1999. So which is it? I have no idea.
My brain hurts!
But I do know that the name Koloro means color in Esperanto, and opus means work in Latin. So some old school and new school right here.
Huh? My hovercraft is full of eels.
The front flips up and we see the pen with the glass eyedropper included and some documentation. The documentation is actually pretty important as it tells you how to fill and maintain the pen. It's in both Chinese and English. And there's the eyedropper. Don't use the eyedropper unless you actually pull the rubber part all the way to the back, as it makes it more usable. And here is the pen. Overall, the pen is a good size, sort of between medium and large. Here it is with a Pilot Metropolitan for scale. The pen is made from both acrylic and ebonite. There are 3 bands of ebonite, the top and the bottom finials, and the lower band of the cap. It gives the pen a very unique look. From the top, we see a domed ebonite finial that tapers up and then is separated from the top ebonite by the clip ring. The clip is a teardrop design with a subtle reeding on the edges, which make it very interesting. And it's very springy and usable. The ebonite with the cap tapers up, and then the center section is a translucent acrylic. It's fairly dark and blurry, but you can see the nib inside there. Then the rest of the cap is back to the ebonite material. If we look closely at this ebonite, you can see it is nicely textured with a spatter paint technique. It actually isn't part of the mixture of the ebonite material, because down here at the end of the cap, you can see the deeply engraved Opus 88, and the center of that has none of that texture. And that deep engraving is either heat stamped or done by laser, because you can see the edges are sort of melted. Either way, it's nice and deep. The entire cap has a nice arched curve to it, and the very end of the cap is beveled towards the barrel. The barrel is the same dark, translucent acrylic that without ink you can barely see through, but with ink is very dark, almost impossible to see the ink level unless you hold the pen up to some strong light. This actually gives the pen a non-demonstrator appearance, even though it is a semi-translucent pen. The barrel is straight to here, where it begins to taper down to a single chrome flat ring, which separates the barrel from the ebonite knob, and the end finial has a conical point to it. The cap unscrews with an agonizing 2 3/4 turns to reveal a tapering translucent green acrylic section, which has a small flare towards the steel nib and black plastic feed. The nib and feed are part of an unscrewable nib assembly, which can be removed for maintenance or swapping. Let's get a closer look at this nib. It's a number 5 size steel Yovo nib with some scroll work and a B for broad, roll stamped into the nib, and Opus 88 laser etched into the nib. The section unscrews to open the ink chamber to fill the pen with an eyedropper or syringe. You can see the end of the piston rod has a silicone O-ring valve that engages with the end of the section to regulate the ink flow. And the end of the section has another silicone O-ring right there to keep the section from leaking. I always apply a little bit of extra silicone grease here to ensure a proper seal. To fill the pen, you take the supplied eyedropper and suck up some ink and drop it into the barrel up to the level of the threads. Do not overfill this, as you need to leave room for displacement. The supplied eyedropper is rather thick on the end, and you have to drop the ink down the top like this. I prefer to use a blunt end syringe, as you can get it down inside the shutoff valve for more secure and precise filling. Again, it's difficult to see the ink level. But I'm going to fill this just to the threads. There we go. And then you screw the section back on to the barrel and close it down. Then to write with the pen, you open up the back. You don't have to open it up all the way. That opens that valve on the section and allows the ink to flow. And now you just need to wait for the ink to wick down into the section and the nib. I'm too impatient for that, so I generally just dip the nib into the ink so that I can write immediately, and by the time that ink runs out, the rest of the ink from the chamber has flowed down through the section and into the feed. And the whole purpose of the shutoff valve is to keep the pen from spitting ink. The great thing about eyedroppers is their ink capacity. The Koloro will hold 2.6 milliliters, and this Majon C4 a huge 3 milliliters of ink. But the issue is, with that kind of capacity, the air inside the ink chamber, once the ink is depleted, is susceptible to pressure changes from the heat of your hand or body, or to changes in atmospheric pressure that comes from altitude changes. Liquid doesn't compress or expand, but air does, and it will force ink out of the chamber as the air expands. There are 2 ways to prevent this. Keep the chamber full of ink, which defeats the purpose of a large ink supply, or to use the stop valve. When you begin writing, open the valve and begin to write. When you're done, turn the nib up and screw the valve closed. Very simple. And you don't need to retract the knob completely to allow the ink to flow. You also don't need to fully retract the rod to fill the pen, as you saw. But it isn't a bad idea to add a little bit of silicone grease to this plastic rod right here to keep that seal at the back from leaking. The inside of the cap shows a plastic cap liner which seals the nib from evaporation. The cap posts deeply and relatively securely and slightly back weights the pen, but nothing that would keep me from writing with it posted, and it doesn't make it too long either. Unposted, the pen is plenty long enough in my hand to write with comfortably. The Opus 88 Koloro is available in 4 colors: this greenish teal color, blue, red, and yellow-orange, and comes in 4 nib sizes: extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. The pen retails for $93 US, but is currently on sale at Goldspot for $74.40 US. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And here is the Opus 88 Koloro with a Pelican M800 piston filler, a Leonardo Momento Zero, a Majon C4 Japanese eyedropper, and a Lamy Safari. Thought you were going to see the Metropolitan, didn't you? Fooled you. Now let's look at them posted. And here they are posted. The Majon C4 posts, but it makes it a huge pen. Now let's look at them unposted. And here they are unposted. As you can see, they're all a comfortable length unposted. Now let's look at some measurements, and I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is the Opus 88 Koloro, and it has a number 5 size broad steel nib. Don't mind that skip right there. I had the pen open for all those size comparisons. And let's check the wetness. It's a very wet pen and very, very smooth with just a hint of feedback. Very, very nice. And the ink today is a Leonardo blue. The ink that Murray had in this pen was a deep blue that has a red sheen to it and a lot of really nice shading. So it reminded me, I didn't know what the ink was, but it reminded me a lot of the Leonardo Officina Italiana blue, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous blue. And as to line variation, it's got some good bounce to it. It's not a flex nib, but there's no pressure, and there's a little bit of pressure. I found that my Opus Bella had that same kind of feeling. I think this is a Jovo nib, but some people have told me it's a Bach. It doesn't matter. It's a steel nib, and this is a broad, and it writes with that same kind of bounce to it. So whatever nibs Opus 88 is using, they've got a nice amount of spring to them. And this nib makes a 0.6 millimeter line, which is a Western medium or a Japanese medium to broad, according to my Richard Binder line chart, which you can find linked in the description below. And for our quote: and for some reverse writing. Okay, this is very scratchy, but it's a lot thinner and a lot drier. And for some quick writing. No issues whatsoever. This feed keeps up brilliantly. So, what do I like and what do I not like about this fountain pen? Since I bought this Opus 88 Bella more than a year ago, I wanted to get another, but I can never decide on which model to get. I enjoy the large size of the Bella, but it's almost too large. This Koloro is around the size of my Pelikan M800, which is my very favorite fountain pen in my collection. And the Koloro feels great in the hand, both posted and unposted. But there are a few things about the Koloro that don't really tick my boxes.
You know what really grinds my gears? This Lindsay Lohan. Eh? Lindsay Lohan with all those little outfits.
I'm not fond of number 5 size nibs, even though a number 6 size nib on this pen might look a little bit too big because of the narrowish section. Also, the mix of ebonite and acrylic, while interesting and unique, doesn't really float my boat.
Another thing that grinds my gears is when I can't find the droids I'm looking for.
Yeah, me too. What gives with that?
And that's what really grinds my gears.
And the cap looks odd. I don't know why it's transparent, because the cap liner in there and the dark acrylic don't really show the nib anyway. And the acrylic is so dark you can't see the ink levels very well at all. It might have been better to make the entire pen of this ebonite material and have the translucent acrylic as an ink window, like on the Bella. And ebonite has a nice warm feel to it, but none of the ebonite is on places where you actually touch the pen with your hand while you're writing. I think Opus missed the opportunity here to put this ebonite material on the section. But make the entire pen from this nicely textured ebonite in various colors with an acrylic ink window like on the Bella, and you'd really have something.
Hey, that was quite a rant there. You know, we're looking for an everyman to rant about petty, nonsensical irritants to replace our Spotlight on the Middle East segment.
Hey, I'd be great at that.
I think the Opus 88 I would go for next would be an Opus 88 Omar. It is just their color choices are always so limited. But I like the honey brown one with the cracked ice acrylic cap and the ivory finials. We'll see what the new year brings. But the Koloro has some great features. The ink capacity is huge at 2.6 milliliters. The shut-off valve is very useful if you like eyedroppers. And if you travel, it's almost an essential. It's very comfortable in the hand, both posted and unposted, and is a very reasonable price for a Japanese eyedropper, considering the Danitrio Japanese eyedroppers run into the thousands of dollars. Of course, you can get a Majon C4 Japanese eyedropper for $20. And there you have it. Thanks go out to Murray McKay for the generous loan of this pen for review. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And please look in the description for a link to Goldspot pens, as I'm now an affiliate of the online store, and when you shop at Goldspot using my link, you'll be supporting my channel as well at no extra charge to you. You can also join as a member of my channel for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you get cool emojis, badges, and sneak peek unboxing videos as well. And that just leaves it for me to say, thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.